The sun rises over the azure waters of the Persian Gulf, casting a golden hue on the bustling Strait of Hormuz. This narrow passageway, though serene at dawn, is a geopolitical tinderbox. Suddenly, a fleet of oil tankers emerges on the horizon, their silhouettes slicing through the shimmering waters. But beneath this tranquil surface lies an ambitious and audacious plan, a $100 billion mega-project that could change the face of global trade. The Musandam Canal, a proposed man-made marvel, aims to bypass the Strait of Hormuz, a strategic choke point where tensions simmer. As the camera zooms in, the viewer is transported to the heart of this unfolding drama, where geopolitical stakes, economic interests, and strategic maneuvers collide in a high-stakes game of power and influence. This is not just a story about infrastructure. It is a tale of ambition, rivalry, and the quest for control over one of the world's most critical waterways. The Musandam Canal is not just an engineering marvel, it's a strategic gambit that aims to redefine the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. Located in Oman, the Musandam Peninsula juts into the Strait of Hormuz, a critical passageway through which nearly 20% of the world's petroleum passes. The canal proposal is designed to provide an alternative route for oil and gas shipments, bypassing the volatile strait entirely. With an estimated cost of $100 billion, the canal would stretch across the rugged terrain of the peninsula, linking the Arabian Sea with the Gulf of Oman. The project's supporters argue that it would enhance the security of oil supplies, reduce the risk of maritime conflict, and bolster regional economic integration. However, such a monumental undertaking is fraught with challenges, from political opposition and environmental concerns to the sheer technical difficulties of carving a canal through mountainous landscape. As we delve deeper into this story, we'll explore the motivations, implications, and potential fallout of this ambitious project.
In the shadow of the Musandam Peninsula, geopolitical tensions simmer. The Strait of Hormuz has long been a focal point of international power struggles, with regional and global powers vying for influence. The canal project is seen by many as a bold move by Oman to assert its strategic independence and diminish the leverage of Iran, which controls the northern side of the strait. This has inevitably drawn the attention and ire of Tehran, which views the canal as a potential threat to its strategic interests. Meanwhile, the United States and its allies, keen to ensure the free flow of oil, see the canal as a means to reduce their reliance on the narrow strait. The stakes are high, and the potential for conflict looms large as regional powers jockey for position. With the potential to shift the balance of power in the Gulf, the Musandam Canal is more than just an infrastructure project. It's a strategic chess move on the geopolitical board. The economic implications of the Musandam Canal are profound. By providing an alternative route for oil and gas shipments, Oman hopes to attract significant international investment and stimulate its own economy. The canal could potentially transform Musandam into a major logistical hub, creating thousands of jobs and spurring infrastructure development in a region that has historically been economically underdeveloped. For global markets, the canal promises to stabilize oil prices by reducing the risks associated with the Strait of Hormuz, thus ensuring more predictable supply chains. However, the project's enormous cost raises questions about its financial viability. Critics warn of potential cost overruns and the possibility that the canal might not attract the expected level of traffic, especially if geopolitical tensions ease. Despite these concerns, Oman is betting on the canal to secure its economic future and position itself as a key player in the global energy market.
The Strait of Hormuz is often referred to as the most important oil choke point in the world. Approximately 21 million barrels of oil pass through the strait each day, accounting for about a third of all seaborne traded petroleum. Its strategic importance cannot be overstated. Any disruption could send shockwaves through global markets, causing oil prices to spike and potentially triggering economic instability. For decades, the strait has been a flashpoint for geopolitical tensions, with Iran frequently threatening to close it in response to international pressures. The Musandam Canal aims to mitigate this risk by offering a stable alternative. However, creating a new choke point does not eliminate the geopolitical complexities. Instead, it shifts them, potentially creating new tensions and rivalries. The canal could become a new flashpoint itself, drawing in regional and global powers eager to secure their own interests. As the Musandam Canal project unfolds, an unexpected ally has emerged: China. With its Global Belt and Road Initiative, China has been investing heavily in infrastructure projects worldwide. The Musandam Canal offers a strategic opportunity for China to secure its energy supply routes and expand its influence in the Middle East. China's involvement could provide the financial backing necessary to bring the project to fruition, while also aligning with its broader geopolitical objectives. This partnership has raised eyebrows in Washington, where officials are wary of China's growing presence in a region traditionally dominated by the United States. The prospect of China playing a significant role in the canal's development adds a new layer of complexity to the geopolitical landscape, potentially reshaping alliances and power dynamics in the Gulf. As China and Oman strengthen their ties, the world watches closely, aware that this alliance could shift the balance of power in one of the world's most strategically vital regions. Why is the Musandam Canal being pursued with such fervor? The answer lies in the fundamental question of energy security and geopolitical leverage. For Oman, the canal represents a strategic opportunity to assert greater control over its economic future and reduce dependency on the Strait of Hormuz. The canal would provide a safeguard against the volatile geopolitical climate that has historically plagued the Gulf region. Moreover, the project aligns with Oman's Vision 2040, which aims to diversify the economy and reduce reliance on oil revenues. For other regional players, the canal offers a chance to lessen Iranian influence in the Strait of Hormuz and secure more stable oil supply routes. The Musandam Canal is more than just an infrastructure project. It's a calculated move in the global chess game of power, designed to shift the balance of energy and influence in favor of those who control it. To understand the Musandam Canal's significance, one must look back at the historical context of the region. The Strait of Hormuz has been a critical maritime passage for centuries, serving as a vital link between the Persian Gulf and the Arabian Sea. Control over this narrow strait has long been a source of power and conflict, with empires and nations vying for dominance. The canal project is rooted in a history of strategic maneuvering, where access to and control over maritime routes have shaped the political landscape. Historically, the strait has been a flashpoint for tensions between Iran and its neighbors, with periodic threats to block passage highlighting its strategic importance. The Musandam Canal is a modern iteration of these historical struggles, representing a new chapter in the ongoing saga of control, power, and influence in the region. By offering an alternative route, the canal seeks to rewrite the rules of this ancient game. Despite its promise, the Musandam Canal project is not without significant risks. The region's volatile geopolitics could jeopardize its success, with tensions potentially sparking conflict that threatens construction and operation. Additionally, the environmental impact of carving a canal through the rugged terrain of the Musandam Peninsula raises concerns among conservationists. Beyond the technical challenges, there is also the risk of economic overdependence on the canal, which could become problematic if projected traffic levels fail to materialize. Furthermore, the canal's perceived threat to Iranian interests could provoke hostile reactions, potentially leading to sabotage or military confrontations. These vulnerabilities highlight the fragile balance between ambition and practicality, where the allure of strategic gain must be weighed against the reality of complex geopolitical dynamics. As the project moves forward, these risks remain ever present, reminding stakeholders that the path to transforming the region is fraught with challenges. The Musandam Canal, while ambitious, may present a mirage of power and security. In seeking to bypass the Strait of Hormuz, the project reflects a desire for geopolitical autonomy and economic stability. However, the complexities of international relations mean that true independence is elusive. The canal could shift power dynamics, but it cannot erase the deeply entrenched geopolitical rivalries that define the Gulf region. Furthermore, the massive investment required poses its own risks, potentially diverting resources from other critical areas of development. The illusion of control offered by the canal may lead stakeholders to underestimate the enduring challenges of regional politics. As Oman and its partners forge ahead, they must remain mindful that while infrastructure can alter landscapes, it cannot change the fundamental nature of international power struggles. The Musandam Canal serves as a reminder that in the intricate dance of geopolitics, the line between ambition and illusion is often blurred. As the world turned its gaze toward the shimmering waters of the Persian Gulf, a series of subtle warnings began to surface, unnoticed by many. Experts in maritime logistics and geopolitical strategists issued reports highlighting the vulnerability of the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow chokepoint, through which a third of the world's liquefied natural gas and nearly 20% of oil passes, was a ticking time bomb. Concerns grew over the potential for geopolitical tensions to disrupt this critical artery. Yet these warnings were largely overshadowed by the immediate gains of continued reliance on this route. Countries heavily invested in the region, including the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, chose to focus on short-term economic interests, ignoring the long-term risks. Skeptics of the Musandam Canal project argued that building an alternative route was unnecessary and cost-prohibitive. However, those early warnings would soon gain relevance as tensions in the Middle East began to escalate, reminding the world of the canal's potential strategic importance. The world stood at a critical juncture as geopolitical tensions around the Strait of Hormuz reached a boiling point. A series of military skirmishes and political standoffs had escalated fears of a potential blockade. The international community, led by major powers such as the United States, found itself in a precarious position. President Donald Trump, addressing the situation from the White House, emphasized the need for a strategic pivot. The Musandam Canal proposal, once dismissed as overly ambitious, now seemed a pragmatic solution to bypass the volatile strait. This was not just about economic security. It was about maintaining global energy flows and ensuring stability in international markets. Countries like China and India, heavily reliant on energy imports through Hormuz, began to express support for alternative routes. The potential construction of the canal symbolized a turning point, one that could redefine Middle Eastern geopolitics and global energy trade. Countries like China and India, heavily reliant on energy imports through Hormuz, began to express support for alternative routes. The potential construction of the canal symbolized a turning point, one that could redefine Middle Eastern geopolitics and global energy trade. Behind closed doors, a game of diplomatic chess unfolded as nations jockeyed for position regarding the Musandam Canal. Saudi Arabia, traditionally a key player in the region, found itself in a delicate situation. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman had to weigh the benefits of supporting a project that could diminish the strategic importance of the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, Iran, vehemently opposed to the canal, sought to rally support from allies like Russia and China. These countries saw the canal as an opportunity to reduce Western influence in the Gulf. In contrast, the United Arab Emirates, eager to bolster its status as a regional powerhouse, pushed aggressively for the canal's construction. The diplomatic landscape was further complicated by the involvement of the United States, which saw the canal as a means to secure energy routes and maintain regional stability. The intricate web of alliances and rivalries made every move critical, as each nation sought to maximize its strategic advantage while avoiding direct confrontation. As the Musandam Canal project gained momentum, strategic missteps began to emerge, threatening its success. The project's backers underestimated the logistical challenges of constructing a canal through the rugged terrain of the Musandam Peninsula. Environmental activists raised alarms about the potential ecological damage, a factor that was not fully considered in the initial planning stages. Furthermore, the political ramifications of bypassing the Strait of Hormuz had not been fully anticipated. Iran, feeling marginalized, increased its naval presence in the Gulf, heightening tensions. The financial markets reacted to these uncertainties with volatility, causing fluctuations in oil prices. The ambitious timeline set by the project's proponents also faced setbacks due to bureaucratic delays and challenges in securing international funding. These missteps highlighted the complexity of the undertaking and the delicate balance required to navigate the geopolitical landscape. As these issues unfolded, the world watched closely, wondering if the canal would become a symbol of strategic foresight or a cautionary tale of ambition outpacing reality. The Musandam Canal project faced its most significant test as a crisis unfolded. Reports of increased military activity in the Gulf, coupled with diplomatic tensions, sent shockwaves through global markets. The potential for conflict over the canal's construction became a pressing concern, with Iran threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz in retaliation. President Donald Trump, addressing the situation from the White House, emphasized the need for diplomatic resolution, urging all parties to de-escalate tensions. Meanwhile, oil prices surged, reflecting the market's anxiety over supply disruptions. The international community called for urgent talks to address the crisis, highlighting the canal's geopolitical significance. The unfolding events underscored the delicate balance between advancing infrastructure projects and maintaining regional stability. As the world held its breath, the Musandam Canal crisis became a focal point for discussions on energy security and geopolitical strategy, with its outcome poised to shape the future of the Middle East and beyond. In the midst of the unfolding crisis, nations involved in the Musandam Canal project were forced to calculate risks with precision. The stakes were high. A misstep could lead to regional conflict or economic turmoil. Saudi Arabia, weighing its options, considered the potential for increased influence through the canal versus the risk of alienating Iran. The United States, under President Donald Trump, evaluated the strategic necessity of the canal for securing global energy supplies against the backdrop of rising tensions. Meanwhile, Iran's leadership, aware of the canal's potential to undermine its strategic position, contemplated countermeasures. Each nation involved faced a complex calculus of geopolitical interests, economic benefits, and potential military engagements. The decisions made in this tense period would not only determine the fate of the canal, but also influence the broader dynamics of power in the Middle East. As risk assessments were conducted behind closed doors, the world watched closely, knowing that the outcomes would reverberate far beyond the region. Amidst the geopolitical tension, the economic calculations surrounding the Musandam Canal became a focal point. The project's estimated cost of $100 billion raised questions about its financial viability and the potential return on investment. Supporters argued that the canal would create a new economic corridor, boosting trade and reducing shipping times, thereby offsetting the initial expense. For countries like the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, the canal represented an opportunity to diversify their economies and reduce reliance on oil exports. However, critics highlighted the immense financial and logistical challenges involved in the construction process. The global energy market, already volatile, faced further uncertainty as investors weighed the potential impact on oil prices. As financial institutions considered lending support, the canal's long-term economic benefits were scrutinized against the backdrop of immediate geopolitical risks. These calculations underscored the intricate balance between economic foresight and the realities of the international political landscape. As the Musandam Canal project navigated treacherous waters, diplomatic shifts began to take shape. Nations that had previously been neutral started to take sides, influenced by the canal's potential impact on regional balance. The United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia found new allies in countries eager to benefit from the canal's economic promise. Meanwhile, Iran sought to solidify its alliances with Russia and China, aiming to counterbalance the growing influence of Gulf states. This realignment of alliances reflected a broader shift in the geopolitical landscape as countries adjusted their foreign policies to align with new economic and strategic interests. The United States, under President Donald Trump, played a pivotal role in these diplomatic maneuvers, leveraging its influence to support the canal's construction. These diplomatic shifts had far-reaching implications, as they not only influenced the canal's future, but also reshaped regional alliances and power dynamics in the Middle East. As discussions around the Musandam Canal intensified, environmental concerns took center stage. The construction of such a massive infrastructure project through the Musandam Peninsula posed significant risks to the region's unique ecosystem. Environmentalists warned that the canal could disrupt marine habitats, affect water salinity, and lead to the loss of biodiversity. These concerns were compounded by the potential impact of increased shipping traffic and the risk of oil spills. Governments involved in the project faced mounting pressure to implement stringent environmental safeguards. International organizations, including the United Nations, called for comprehensive environmental impact assessments. The challenge lay in balancing the canal's economic and strategic benefits with the imperative of preserving the region's natural heritage. As debates continued, the Musandam Canal became a focal point for discussions on sustainable development and the responsibilities of nations undertaking large-scale infrastructure projects. The Musandam Canal project, with its geopolitical, economic, and environmental implications, sent ripples across the globe. The potential shift in energy routes redefined international trade dynamics, prompting countries to reassess their strategic positions. Economic analysts warned of a realignment in global markets as nations adapted to the new reality of energy distribution. Meanwhile, the project's environmental impact sparked debates about sustainable development, influencing international policies on infrastructure and environmental protection. Diplomatic shifts highlighted the canal's broader geopolitical significance, as alliances were re-evaluated in light of changing interests. The Musandam Canal became a symbol of the complex interplay between national interests and global responsibilities, illustrating the challenges of balancing progress with preservation. As global leaders navigated these turbulent waters, the canal's legacy would be measured in its ability to foster cooperation and stability in an interconnected world.
Throughout history, strategic waterways have been at the heart of geopolitics. The Suez Canal transformed global trade by linking the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea, drastically reducing travel time between Europe and Asia. Similarly, the Panama Canal reshaped maritime routes in the Americas. These projects were not just about engineering marvels, they symbolized shifts in global power. Nations that controlled these canals wielded significant influence over global trade and military strategy. The Musandam Canal, with its ambitious plan to bypass the Strait of Hormuz, draws from these historical precedents. It reflects the enduring lesson that control over key maritime passages can redefine regional and global power dynamics. The question remains, can Oman and its allies leverage this project to create a new chapter in the geopolitics of the Middle East? As the Musandam Canal project gains momentum, the balance of power in the Middle East faces a potential shift. Currently, the Strait of Hormuz serves as a critical choke point for global oil supplies, with Iran exerting significant influence over the passage. However, the completion of the canal could dilute Iran's strategic leverage, providing alternative routes for energy transport. This development could empower Oman and its allies, altering alliances and rivalries in the region. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and even India might find new opportunities to assert influence. Conversely, Iran may seek to strengthen its ties with neighboring powers like Russia and China to counterbalance this shift. The project could thus redefine not only regional but also global power structures as nations align themselves around the canal's potential economic and strategic benefits.
Despite meticulous planning, the Musandam Canal project carries the potential for unforeseen outcomes. Environmental concerns loom large, as the construction could disrupt marine ecosystems and affect biodiversity in the region. Additionally, the canal might inadvertently increase geopolitical tensions. Countries that feel sidelined or threatened by the canal's operation may resort to economic or military measures to assert their interests. The potential for increased piracy or smuggling in the new waterways is another risk. Furthermore, the canal's success could set a precedent, inspiring other nations to pursue similar projects, leading to a race of infrastructure development with potential environmental and political consequences. As history has shown, the ripple effects of such massive undertakings can be both far-reaching and unpredictable. The strategic insight of the Musandam Canal lies in its potential to revolutionize maritime logistics in the Gulf region. By providing an alternative route to the Strait of Hormuz, it could enhance the security of energy supplies, a critical concern for global markets. This canal could also bolster Oman's economic prospects, attracting investments and fostering regional cooperation. Moreover, it provides a unique opportunity for Oman to assert its influence on the geopolitical stage, positioning itself as a key player in global energy logistics. The canal's success would demonstrate the ingenuity of leveraging natural geography for economic and strategic gain, affirming the adage that geography is destiny. However, realizing this vision requires navigating complex political landscapes and addressing environmental challenges, tasks that will test Oman's diplomatic and strategic acumen. As the Musandam Canal project progresses, nations involved and those impacted must reevaluate their strategic approaches. For Oman, the challenge is to ensure that the canal's benefits are maximized without escalating regional tensions. Diplomatically, Oman must balance its relationships with neighboring countries, the United States, and China, all of whom have vested interests in the region. For other Gulf states, the canal presents both opportunities and challenges, prompting a rethinking of economic and security strategies. Internationally, the canal could lead to shifts in energy markets, requiring countries to adjust their energy policies and alliances. The project's success hinges on its ability to navigate these complex layers of geopolitical strategy, underscoring the need for careful planning and adaptive strategies in an ever-changing global landscape. The Musandam Canal is more than an ambitious engineering project. It is a reflection on the nature of power in the 21st century. In a world where borders are increasingly fluid and interdependence is the norm, the canal represents a shift from traditional power dynamics to a more interconnected global landscape. It highlights the idea that true power lies in the ability to adapt, innovate, and collaborate. As nations grapple with the complexities of globalization, the canal serves as a reminder that influence is not just about military might or economic strength. It is about strategic foresight and the capacity to navigate the intricate web of modern geopolitics. The Musandam Canal, with its promise and challenges, encapsulates this new era of power, where success is determined by vision and adaptability. As we conclude this exploration of the Musandam Canal, it is clear that the project holds transformative potential for both the region and the world. It stands at the intersection of ambition and reality, challenging traditional notions of power and control over strategic waterways. The canal represents a bold vision for the future, one that requires careful navigation of geopolitical, environmental, and economic landscapes. For Oman, it is a chance to redefine its role on the global stage and demonstrate the power of strategic thinking and innovation. As the world watches this ambitious endeavor unfold, the lessons learned may well shape the future of global trade and geopolitics, reminding us that the true measure of success lies in our ability to adapt and collaborate in an ever-evolving world. If you found this perspective valuable, consider subscribing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I read every one of them. Thank you for watching.